All right, we are now live. Took a while to get here, but we're here. Sorry for the PC crash, everyone. Had to go ahead and restart the stream, but we are all good now. Let's make sure that we are live and everything, because I have to reopen everything. And all right, cool. Yeah, we're all live. So thank you guys for joining. 20 of you guys waiting for the stream. I do appreciate it. 21 of you guys were here at the correct time when it was supposed to start, and my computer crashed, as I said. First off, we need to get the elephant out of the way. Kind of fishy. Bubba Wallace gets that pull when nobody's watching. Kind of fishy. Just saying, kind of fishy. Outside of that, this is a really, really fun slate. And I mean, there's some slates I like, some slates I don't. I am very much intrigued by this slate here due to the fact that, look, if everybody is looking at possible lap leaders, which are the primary guys that we're going to be choosing from, I gotta check Discord because it just man, dude, I had to reopen Discord, so I'm just barely seeing this. Thank you, ACS, for the feedback in the Discord. For me, the clear contenders for lap leaders: Wallace, Bell, Kyle Busch, Truex, and Hamlin. Okay, for me, I am very worried, and I made a little video and put on Patreon, and it's unlisted just for the Patreon members. At least a little behind the scenes of my thinking last night, and still my thinking today, of being concerned about Alex Bowman and William Byron, due to the fact that I am concerned with their speed in general. Okay, when we look at their practice speeds real quick, and I can't touch on this long because obviously I got to keep everything going. If you're a part of the Patreon, then you can see the video that I made last night where I kind of go into more detail of why I'm projecting them for certain things. And I'll say right now, the projections aren't bad. Look, I'm projecting Bowman for around a 16th place finish. Let me just check and make sure. I have Bowman for around 15th. I got Byron for around 11th. I am worried that they don't end up running that well, and that Byron ends up running around 14th and 15th, and Bowman gets stuck running 18th and 19th. I am very much concerned about that. And last night I did that, and I was already concerned about their possible upside, in a sense of, if this race does get spread out. And I'm not saying this due to the Sam Mayer incident yesterday. I think they are drastically different plays. Sam Mayer was a contender to win the race. He put himself in position to be there at the end. Just unfortunate Sammy Smith made contact with him and he had to pit. So I'm not basing my Alex Bowman and William Byron opinion on yesterday's events. I'm looking at it based on where these guys are in practice. I understand that Bowman was showing speed. Okay. But when we compare that and compare it to how they ran in that May, in that early June, May, and April schedule, I think that's where they're at. Like when we look at Dover, actually we'll look at speeds versus the finishing positions real quick for Byron and stuff. But when we look at Dover, okay, Byron, 14th fastest car, 4th fastest Darlington. A lot of guys wrecked out, back him up to around a 9th place. Kansas, 14th, which I think this race is a lot like Kansas. 18th fastest at Charlotte. Even when we start moving up, Nashville, 23rd. The thing, it is good to see him be the 12th fastest car at Pocono, but still at his price, $9,200 for that, we're really locking in the place differential plays. Or in that sense, if you're playing Byron and you're putting yourself in a situation where you're giving up the lap leaders. Now, granted, yes, there is rain. If this race is shortened, I imagine that we'll end up seeing one of these two guys end up running or end up making the optimal line. I'm just thinking out loud. When we look at Bowman, and yes, I have been a proponent of, hey, let's get ahead of the curve on Bowman. So I understand that this sounds a bit contradicting, but when we look at his car at the tracks that I'm looking at that are similar, 27th at Darlington, but he did get damage early. 10th at Kansas, 14th, actually that's Gateway, 34th Nashville, but he did get in a wreck in that race as well. 16th at Pocono. And so look, I'm looking at Bowman being like its 16th fastest car today, at any running position anywhere from 12th to 17th. And if we're just paying for that, And in a situation where we might see them, end up running, we might see Bowman end up running around like 22nd, 21st, 19th today. Add that with the lineup construction that we're kind of going towards. Like, look, if you're playing Bowman, which I think a lot of people are, it's now a trade-off. Do you play 3 Joe Gibbs guys or do you play Bubba Wallace? Okay, and I usually don't give out lines, but this was my optimal line playing Bowman. And I didn't like this build personally. But the optimal line playing Bowman, I won't say the sixth one, okay, DraftKings. I'll keep the last one fine. But this is where, and this is the reason why I'm concerned with this type of build here, because I think it's a very high variance type of line. I think it has a lot of risk involved. Where the hell is Bubba on here? Um, so with me, in my opinion, I view this as like the chalk Bowman line. It's Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, and Bubba Wallace. And whatever you want to do with your last guy, I think you understand where that lineup goes. I personally am a bit worried about that line. I think that is going to be played. I think not only my projections lean that way if you're looking towards Bowman, but I think a lot of people, if you have a high exposure to Bowman and you're wanting to chase 2 lap leaders, which is Kyle Busch, which is Denny Hamlin, everybody, I think I haven't watched content this week, but I'm going to assume that Harvick is a chalkier play due to the fact that a lot of builds end up in the 8K range, and they're most likely getting the Bowman and Harvick. And then leading with Bubba Wallace. And look, I don't have Bubba Wallace projected terribly. It's just, where does he get in if other people score well? So like right now, I have Bubba Wallace for 43 points. Okay. That's him leading laps. That's him staying up. And I think I have Bubba Wallace projected as a 5th place finish. I think he ends up finishing probably around 9th or 10th. And so like that type of build, in my opinion, that type of line is very concerning in my opinion. And so that's where I'm at there. Those are just my thoughts on Bowman and Byron, because I think I want to go a different direction. And part of me is doing that because, look, I've been fucked over a lot this year by not playing enough guys starting in the top 10. And when we see 3, realistically, there's 5 guys in the top 10 that are going to lead laps. I think we could pin down 3 very easily. I think those being Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin. I would rather chase those 3 for the leading upside, very similar to how Nashville played out, to where the Joe Gibbs guys we're understanding they are on a plane of their own in this race. Okay, it is the Toyota's domain this weekend in Ford country. Okay, Henry Ford is rolling over. Where's that 3F race team they're talking about? Why are they not bringing in Volkswagen? Like, come on. What a weird tangent. Anyway, I like Kyle Busch, I like Truex, I like Hamlin. I think I want to chase those 3 guys versus chasing the place differential of Bowman and Byron, because you're either choosing one of those 2 drivers for place differential. You're either going to Ross Chastain, which I understand is not a bad play. I think he's going to be very popular. I currently have Ross Chastain for 56 points. However, I don't think Chastain leads in this race. I don't think Chastain ends up finishing in the top 5. I think Chastain ends up showing up. He runs around 9th, 10th, possibly gets up to 6th, but he's going to be outscored by his fellow 10K drivers leading laps. And so that's kind of the way I want to approach this race, to trying to just chase lap leaders. That's where I'm at. I don't want to chase Ross Chastain starting 22nd with a place differential of probably 10 points baked in for sure. I would say that on a safe scale, Byron probably has, I would say, probably 9, 8 place differential points already locked in. That's going to leave him right at like a 4.9, a 5 value. Same thing with Bowman. Like, Bowman can be very close to a trap play, in my opinion. This is not based on him wrecking as of late. This is based on what I see in his speeds when I look through the laps at the intermediate tracks, and his price, and the fact that there is a ton of people going to Bowman this weekend. And so am I trying to avoid Bowman based on chalk? In my brain, I'm telling myself that's not the reason. I feel like I'm trying to look for outs, or at least situations to where he doesn't perform as a top 10 driver. And when we look at how far ahead the Toyota gang is, how far ahead. Even people like Chase Elliott, Larson. I think Reddick is going to be there. I don't see him getting laps led unless he gets lead on pit road, but Reddick is going to stay in the top 10 all day. Larson's going to stay in the top 10 all day. Elliott's going to stay in the top 10 all day. Suarez is going to be a contender for a top 10. Harvick is going to be a contender for a top 10. And so this is pushing down the possible places that, Byron and Bowman can get to. And if Chastain is right around 9th or 10th, it really does lock Bowman and Byron to around a mid-20s type of day. And in that situation, I don't think they make the optimal line. I think it goes lap leaders. And so at least that's my approach, and that's where I'm wanting to go. At least those are my thoughts right now of how I want to do. What's going on? Yeah, Toyotas look very fast today. I have no clue if we get the race in or not. Look, I can't really project for the weather. I'm just going to project for this race. I normally don't let weather concern me. Sometimes I play more place differential plays and stuff, but here I just want to chase the Toyotas, really very similar to Nashville, and just hope these dumb fucks don't pit with 4 to go. Okay, I mean, you want to talk? As the months go on, I get more and more frustrated in Nashville because I had like a 4-figure win, man. And they pit it for no reason. I don't understand that at all. Tricks Bubba Bell. So Wallace and Bell are nearly identical plays in my opinion. I think if you're playing one or the other, I think you should play Bubba Wallace, but I think he is incredibly risky. I understand that this is one of Bubba Wallace's best tracks, not only in the Cup Series but just in general. We've seen him win here in a cheating car in the Truck Series in a cucumbered win. I always say cucumber. I know it's the other thing, but for whatever reason I just remember the meme of a cucumber next to the win column. Whatever. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, in my opinion, have the best cars. I think this is a place where Truex is not going to be owned. Very similar to how I've approached Dover, how I've approached Darlington, Charlotte. And Charlotte was a bit of a hiccup because Denny Hamlin did not win that race. I know he won the race statistically, but he did not show up with the car that should have won that race. But I'm approaching it very similar to Nashville. And so for me, I would much rather lean Truex over Bell and Wallace. And I would like to get 3 of these Toyota of the Joe Gibbs guys in my line, like I said, versus place differential and stuff. I think that's a fantastic move. Yeah, thank you for not crucifying me, Clutch. I know, my PC, they crash at times. That's how it is. Same thing. If people want to like the stream, they can. If they don't, I completely understand. But good morning, Big BVP. Good to see you again. Let's have a good day here. As I said, look, I got Bubba for 43 points, 5.8 value, and he just wasn't getting in the lines. And I think he wasn't getting in the lines because I was paying up for the Joe Gibbs guys. I think if your lineup construction dictates that if you're playing Bowman and you're chasing Chastain, you're most likely getting the Bubba. And so I think Bubba is purely a lineup construction type of play and not necessarily a play to win this. Like, is Bubba really going to win this race? No, he's not. It's just how it is. That's not being harsh. It's how long does Bubba stay out in front all day? I'm giving him 13 laps led, 24 fast laps. I think that is more than generous in these projections. Okay. I think it'd be closer to Bubba leading maybe 11 laps and getting 8 fast laps. And if that's the situation, I think that certainly creates him to be a riskier play than most people are expecting here. I'm not even looking at practice. And so, I mean, let's go ahead and look at Bowman's laps. And so for me, I don't look at the NASCAR averages. I just look at laps in general because I just look through them all. Okay. So when we're looking at his fastest laps, we got 4 laps in the first run of 186, 186.8, 187.1, 186.8. However, Joe Gibbs boys, and granted, where his averages put him, he's around a 15th place fastest guy based on practice laps. That's just where he's at. When we look and just put his fast laps on here together, I'll include all the 186s here. What is that? What is the average here? That's 186.3. You know, that's still not top 5 speed, and that's being very selective on these laps where we're seeing pretty drastic fall off from Bowman. You know, specifically during his second run, you can see he maintains a 186, 186.2, 186.1, 186.4 down to a 185.4, which is very similar to how how his first run happened. Like he maintained a speed for about 4 laps, dropped off, went down to pit lane, obviously had to make a change, came back out, and the same thing, kind of fell off a cliff on his fifth laps. And so when we're comparing him to, I mean, people like Reddick, where he's maintaining high 186s, 187s, when we're certainly looking at the Joe Gibbs guys maintaining 187s, high 186s, we don't see that drastic drop off. Like we don't see a Joe Gibbs guy touch 185 until actually, let me just make sure. We don't see Kyle Busch never ran a single lap touching 185. Bubba ran 1 lap. Hamlin ran 1 lap. That's entering pit lane. Stayed above 186 the entire time. Truex is not having fall off either. He makes 185s late in the run, lap 14 and 15. You know, and so for me, that makes me concerned about out of Bowman's there. Well, when we look at Logano, and I removed the 2 laps, I'm glad I was the first one to tweet about it, man. Little rubbing the ego, you know. I tweeted about like 7 seconds after practice ended. Okay, and now everybody else is looking at that. And if you didn't get the data during practice, then you just have that skewed 5 lap average. Which shout out to NASCAR again for just not fixing their data for the cut. Can you imagine F1 doing that? Can you imagine like the NFL just having a blatant like scoring error and they're just not fixing it at all? That I don't get that at all. When we look at Logano is going to be incredibly slow. He ran his 1,883rd lap on his lap 12. Lap 13 was also skewed. He had a 300 lap on that one as well. I took those both out. When we see his laps, these are Logano's laps: 185.2, 185.3, 184.8. 184.8, 184.8, 185.3, 184.9. Okay, so when we look at that and then we stack him up against the rest of the field, he's probably going to be around. And this is taking out some of the slower laps as well. He's probably around a 17th, 18th fastest guy in practice. Okay, those what was it? That was like a 3-second lap time. Really skewed him in the data, and I don't see a reason to even play Logano. Because the previous track data has shown, not Michigan, but previous data this year has shown that Logano is just not going to have the speed at these racetracks. Yes, he qualified 4th, but I don't see him sticking around with Joe Gibbs. Okay, when we compare his laps directly against Joe Gibbs, I mentioned that the Joe Gibbs guys barely even touched 185, and Logano is not even touching 186 in practice. I'm sure they'll make some changes, but I don't see Logano holding a candle to the Joe Gibbs guys. Favorite value play, 2 of them here. Depends on your line construction, depends on who you can get to. Based on projections, it's Todd Gilman. I think he's going to be probably 40-50% owned. It's very difficult to get away from him based on how everybody else is what is it? How everybody else is projecting in that range. I'll be brutally honest here. I'm not playing Gregson. I'm probably not going to get to Gibbs. I got Gibbs for 31.6. I got Gregson for 23. And I think that can be much lower. I think the 2 value plays that you are going to get to, whether it's line of construction, whether you're being there based on points, whatever the case is, I think it's Burton and Gillen. I know Burton seems like a pretty ugly price here. I currently just have in the projections Burton for a 24th. I think if he can get the 22nd, 21st, and certainly you got to remember that this race is going to get crazy. Whether they're racing for rain or they're racing towards the end of the race, if we get a restart, these restarts are going to be insane. Okay, the outside lane is where it's at, but we're going to have guys probably throwing it 3-4 wide and they're getting loose. I'm sure we have some guys wreck out at some point in this race, probably exiting 2, like we've seen very similar in previous years on these restarts. I don't think we should just write out Harrison Burton. Just because we might see him projected for like 20, 22, 25, or 24 points when I think he can very easily score 25, 26. People get stupid late in this race. I don't think Austin Hill is worth playing. I mean, similar finishing position or finishing upside to Austin Dillon. That's just where we're at there. Oh no, got the bots back. You can also join the Patreon. I think I give enough out for free out there. NASCAR mouthpieces. What do you think? What do you mean? What do you think about the NASCAR mouthpieces? And do you think they have a corporate sponsor logo on? I have no idea what you're referring to. If you can get more descriptive, I will happily rant on whatever you want me to rant about. But I'm not sure what you're referring to there. I'm gonna roll up. Not gonna get to them there. Oh, so at least with my line of construction where I'm at, because I want to chase Kyle Busch, Trix, and Hamlin. I'm playing those three guys in a line. I'm just not ending up on Eric Almirola, on Busher. I'm wanting to chase the Joe Gibbs guys. That is my priority. I'm dying on that hill today. Forcing three of those guys into my lines leaves me in very certain positions. Like I would like to get to. I'd be interested in getting to Swartz if I was building a lot of lines. Just can't do it. Chasing the three Joe Gibbs guys. Like people want to play Bowman and Byron and Chastain. I think the pivot off of that is Blaney. I'm not playing him, but like that's how I would try and get different if you're building a chalk line. Busher at 7-1. I just didn't have the money to get to him. I'm not playing Keselowski. I'm just not getting Derek Almirola. I'm not playing Stenhouse. So I got a very condensed pool today. Maybe for a top 5. I don't think I'd play him to win. But that's where I'm at there. Thank you very much, JJT. I do appreciate it. Who would I put all my money on, bro? Chase. I'm assuming you mean Elliott. I'd probably put on Kyle. I can't wait to just spend the race listening to all these reporters being like, Kyle Busch is in a bad stretch. This is the worst stretch in a season he's ever had, despite the fact he used to wreck every car in his rookie season for Hendrick, or even the season before when he was around the 84 car. How many times did we see Kyle Busch wreck during his preseason season, in the 84 car? And how much did he struggle in the 5 car? I don't know what these people are talking about. I like Kyle Busch a lot today. Thank you very much on that. I didn't watch the fights. I just saw a bunch of upsets come through. Would have been probably would have been a rough night, but I had a headache and took a nap and slept through the end of the Xfinity Series race and woke up around 8. So those are projections after my nap last night. No, I don't think that's stupid at all. I think that's going to be very sad. I would rather do that than chase place differential. That's just me. Now, granted, I don't play cash. I think if you're playing, let me think. Certainly cash, Chastain, Bowman, Byron going to be owned. In the, I'm guessing probably the $4. I think the sharp players, like if you're playing higher stakes or single entry, I think it's going to lean more to place differential. I think Bowman will probably get a bump compared to like the $4, the 3 max, $4.20, $3 3 max. I think he'll get a bump there. I think Chastain will also get a bump in single entries, maybe even in 3 max as well, and certainly in bigger stakes compared to 3 Joe Gibbs guys. At least that's where I'm thinking, and that's where my thought process is. I think this is a very distinct race where we will see bumps in double ups, in higher stakes, and in single entries for the place differential plays more so than usual. I think that's just where we're at there. Stop asking about McDowell. I don't know, man. I don't know how to project this man. Okay, we've said it before. I'm giving him 16th today. What more do we want? I think that's a fantastic day for McDowell. Okay, 16th. You give him 14. He ends with 29 points. Give him 12. He ends with 33 points. I don't know, man. Like I got him for 16th right now. Man. That's where I'm at there. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know if it's a real victory lap because I have been saying it for years. So it's not like I just came out of nowhere being like, we're gonna injure people, we're gonna kill people. But I have been on that train longer than maybe anybody. So I don't know if it's necessarily me being a ride or me just picking a side and staying on it the whole time. But the fact that Kurt Busch is out and the fact that they are finally talking about, the safety in NASCAR, uh, I guess that's good. It took NASCAR long enough. It really, it really makes NASCAR look bad because they lied to us during the offseason. NASCAR flat. Do you guys remember reporters were on their knees? NASCAR was on their knees, or not on the, not NASCAR. NASCAR was standing up. Reporters were on their knees saying that, oh no, the crash at Talladega where the test dummies experienced more G's than we expected, that never happened. That didn't happen. That was covered up. That was brushed under the rug. Flat out lied to. Okay. That was absolutely 100% the truth. Look, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's evidence to back it up this year that the drivers are experiencing way more G forces than they ever had. So NASCAR lying out of their mouths earlier in the year during the off season, bad look. Shame on you, NASCAR. Drivers are taking harder hits, which, look, it makes me feel more alive because I can actually watch NASCAR and enjoy it. Remember in the Daytona 500, we were concerned about tires flying off and people flying into the stands. It makes you feel alive. Now we're at NASCAR to where, hey, maybe we could actually have a driver die racing. I feel alive now. They're racing for danger. It's like Auto Club and IndyCar, best race in the history of motorsports. Wish we could do it again. Put me in a car, Chief. I don't give a shit if I die. I'll go out there and run 220 at Auto Club racing the pack race. Like let's get these races back. I'm hoping that if we could just keep getting injuries, I think that'd be cool. Let's see. I lost my place. In these. Let me look. Sorry. Okay. Austin Dillon. It's difficult for me because the way I'm approaching GPP's day is just trying to get every lap leader I can. Like I said, very similar to Nashville, where I played shitload of Joe Gibbs racing. Okay. I'd have to go through my lines right fast. I'm approaching it the same way I have at most of the intermediate tracks this year. Be overweight on Joe Gibbs guys. Expect 3 of them. I would not be shocked if we see all 4 Joe Gibbs guys lead in this race, and I want to try and get 3 of those in my lines, leaning on practice data. It's Hamlin, Kyle Busch. I think people will then choose between Wallace, Bell, and Truex. I think Truex goes under own based on Chastain is a bit more expensive with probably more uptick in ownership. I think people are not going to be able to get to Truex because they're going to Bowman and Byron. That is my defense, or that's my strategy today. Is Kyle Busch, Truex, Hamlin. Hopefully, I can play Truex in a low owned situation and be there. And so for me, I'm just not getting a different place differential plays. I'm just building completely different to start off with. I don't think Dillon's a bad play. In that sense, I'm just not getting to him. I can see a situation where Dillon can gain some positions late in a restart. Like I think we're going to see probably Austin Dillon run around 20th, 19th, 18th today. I know this is one of Austin Dillon's better tracks, and if you remember last year, Austin Dillon was running extremely well when he got turned by, I don't remember who it was at the time, and if somebody has a wreck like that, maybe they're dead this year. But this is Austin Dillon's. This is one of his better tracks. We could see statistically, Dillon performs better here versus his usual finish situation there. Let's see, what are we doing here? We also need to look at the fact that the tire test is playing a huge thing. Okay, the reason that Byron missed the setup, the reason that Hendrick isn't as fast is because it's because of the new tire that Goodyear brought this weekend. It completely changed compared to what their simulations were telling them, what their research was telling them, what their preparation for this week was telling them. And so that's another reason why I am concerned about Bowman and Byron, because they just weren't able to get the test here at Michigan like other teams were, like Joe Gibbs and 2311 and stuff. And so that's where I'm there. Anyway, Austin Dillon interesting play. Can get lucky on a late race restart. But I would probably put him to run around 18th, 19th today. That's where I'd put Bowman. I don't know. I think I'm talking about it and not pointing things out. Like I think chalk you eat this week is Todd Gilman. No matter what type of line you're doing, I think he's the best projected guy down there. I don't necessarily care that he's starting last. It sucks that he's so slow. But based on him starting 27th over the course of the race at Darlington, having 28th fastest car, Kansas, he had the 31st fastest car, but he ended up finishing. Where are we at? He ended up finishing 25th at Kansas due to how the race got late. When we look at Nashville, 29th fastest at Nashville, finished 24th. Pocono, 29th best at Pocono, finishes 27th. I think Gillen will get up, probably run around 32nd, 31st, 30th all day, depending on how cycle or yellows cycle, depending on who crashes out. I think he can get up and pay that off. $5,200. I think that is fine. So personally, I think he is good chalk. I think you eat him and move on, or you have to build a very balanced line to get away from getting to that far, or to get away from building that low. I think Kyle Busch is good chalk. I think he runs extremely well today. Those are the two guys right here, right now that I just see as good chalk. I think Bowman and Byron are way riskier than people are anticipating. I think Chastain is riskier than people are really looking at. I don't think those three guys are instant locks or anything. I think they carry a high amount of risk. And so for me, good chalk would probably be Kyle Busch and Gillen. It's interesting if you build a line and you go all the way down. I know it's scary. I know you don't want to really necessarily look at it, but if you're forced to try and get different and you can't get up to, the 6K range, like if you're staying in the 6K range, I think you're going to be fine. Like if you're stuck with Stenhouse as your lowest guy, maybe you want to be ahead of the pack on Gibbs. I'm worried about Gibbs, finishing around 16th, 17th. Just because that's how these races are kind of ending up to where he's a good driver. We already know that, but this is third race. If for whatever reason Gillen isn't able to move up the pack and actually get there, do you take the 16 possible points from where? Do you take the 14 possible points from Bilicki? I don't necessarily know if that's worth it. I'm just kind of speaking out loud there. I'm probably not going there. I think you still end up in a situation to where if you're paying down there, you're not necessarily gaining any big moves because you're stuck in the 5K range. You like your line. You're choosing Gillen because he's projects out the best based on everyone around him and pricing. And so long-winded answer to that, but that's where I'm at, Andrew. I don't know, man. Dude, play whoever the fuck you want. I don't bet in Texas. I like Kyle Busch, but do whatever you want, dude. I really, really don't care. I like Burton. I like Gillen together. I think that is a like I said. I think Burton's going to go under-owned as well, because if you're playing Bowman, regardless of what construction you're playing with, you're not getting to Harrison. Harrison looks like a bad guy in projections. That's a situation in a race to where if he gets a good line on a restart, and we see very similar to Gillen, they start off kind of, and honestly, shout out to Burton. Burton has done way better in this car than I thought he would. I thought Burton would be spinning out left and right this year, where in August, he has been very safe. He hasn't torn up a lot of equipment. Like Harrison Burton needs to at least be talked about in that sense of not destroying equipment and stuff. But I think Burton is the type of guy that I would want to take a risk on, to just because nobody's going to play him, especially if you're having a chalk line. I think Burton is probably going to be single digit ownership because he's expensive. He's $6,000. He's going to project in most projections for probably around 20 to 24 points in a situation where he might get inside the top 22, 21. I think he could be a guy who could sneak into the optimal there. I think top 15 potential is certainly there for Ty Gibbs, as I said. And I know I'm answering questions from like 10 minutes ago or comments 10 minutes ago. I think Gibbs ends up probably finished around 16, 17 today, but he will certainly run there. What is this? Would the next gen car turn Dillon into a vegetable? I would like that. Next gen car. Well, there's a lot of situations there. There is, if you guys love looking into stuff like I do, okay, whether it's stuff related to 9/11, ISIS beheadings, whatever the case is, a lot of the gore websites have been taken down over the years, or they're restricted to where you had to have an account before they got restricted. So, watch people die, and Reddit got removed. There's some subs on Sedit that have stuff, but one of the easiest things to find on the website, even on the internet today, is the autopsy report for Dale Earnhardt. And you can understand why. Clearly he died. Clearly it was not a very nice way to go out. Okay. I know, and that's why I kind of talk about it a lot, because most people just think, bam, hit the wall, next snap, dead. No, the guy bled out in the car. The guy is just pouring blood out of his neck. He has his teeth shattered out. A lot of things went into that. The thing that really hurt Dale was that his belts failed. Okay. Whether it's Simpson's fault, which I like to say it was because I think it's funny, but it wasn't Simpson's fault. Whether it was him loosening the belts, whether it was the way they were in place, a lot of things happened. I think Dale dies in this car, regardless if the belts fell like they did, because that's just how it is. Open face, closed face helmet might have saved him, but it certainly would have been a career-ending wreck if the belts fail again. That's just where I'm at. Dale wasn't doing too good. All Dale had to do was get caught by Stewart, flip it down the back straight, and everything is different. Okay, we might have more deaths, but Dale races like 2004. Earnhardt Junior's racing the 3. All he had to do was get caught up in the wreck on the back straightaway, and it didn't happen. What's going on, MNG? Let's see. Watch the replay. Thank you. Since I know you're going to be rewatching later. Man, I can't project these punts to do a lot because I don't think we're going to see a lot of wrecks. I got Yaley. I mean, the sumbitch starting 29th, man. That's rough. I got him for like 15 points, man. He does not look. These are my rules. As I say, whenever it is looking like punt week. We're looking for near bottom pricing, and it even gets more difficult now that DraftKings is sometimes where we have 45. A guy at 4,500, sometimes at 46. This is a tough one because your cheapest guy is $4,800. Okay, BJ McLeod, we can understand that he's not going to have speed. Your next cheapest, which normally it would be Yaley, he's starting too high up. The rule is they have to be near bin salary. They have to start near the back of the field. They need to at least have realistically 5 place differential places to pass, and then you can usually add around 3 or 4 due to wrecks from guys up front wrecking out. And so usually you end up with around place differential of a ceiling of like 9 or 10. If they're starting like 36, they could possibly finish around 27, 26. That situation there. Balicki at 5,000 needs 25 points to get there, starting 35th. I don't know if he can do that. We have seen him start here a lot of the times, and yes, like we haven't seen him score that high this year. And so personally, I don't think you can make a punt work this week. That's just where we're at. Yeah, man. I gotta watch it, man. I guess I gotta check it out because it looks like the trash TV that I would love. I have to see that. Let's see. So Elliott has he does have upside today. He's certainly a guy who is going to increase his position from where he's running. I think he could very easily run 8th to 5th all day, gain some position on pit road, and contend at some point in this race. However, I just love the Toyota powerhouse. I can't get to him. But I would not fault you for playing Elliott certainly in the big 15 just to try and get different. I would I would say I'd much rather play like head to head between pivot plays and try and get different. Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. I would go Martin Truex Jr. I like that. So that I think that's certainly an aggressive stance on Joe Gibbs. I like it. Your main concern is what Harvick does, because Harvick can very easily push one of those Joe Gibbs guys out and make the optimal. But if you're sticking in the 7K range, I think that is perfectly fine. And certainly getting your last guy in the 7K range is fine. And if you're being that aggressive on starting people up front, I forgot what Suarez is 86. I'm used to him being in 7K range. Dillon, Briscoe. I think even in that sense, I think that type of build would make sense playing Keselowski starting so far back. But I don't mind that at all, Clutch. Let's see. That's on Bill. Bell, Gibbs, Bubba not being able to hang. I mean, I have kind of talked about this a lot. I mean, I'm 40 minutes in. I know this was asked, 10 minutes ago, but I've talked about them enough already. I think people know where my stances are there. I am interested in Harvick. I think Harvick is going to be, I think he can be a good play. The thing that worries me, I think he ends up coming in lower owned than I think he will, just because Bowman is in the same price range, and people might be trying to get up to Byron as well. I like Harvick based on his speed alone. We've seen improvements there based on what Harvick has done entering this year into to what he's now doing at intermediate tracks. And I think we could very easily see a situation where Harvick can make correct adjustments and be there at the end and have a top 7 car today. I have no idea based on your projections. Also, listen, and this is why I'm always very hesitant on talking about lineups directly, because don't share your fucking lines on a stream. That is negative EV. Okay, that's going to a poker table and telling people what cards you have. Okay, however, I think that's a fine line. But I think it is very stupid to post any type of line in any comments or anything like that. Do I lock in the top 3? I'd probably do Kyle Busch. I'm assuming those are terrible odds, probably terrible payouts, but that's why I don't do that. However, I do like your name, good old Buckshot, old Winston Cup racer Buckshot in here. Let's see, what else are we at? Yeah, the bots are pretty wild. Let's see. Cindric is tough as well. 120 guys here. Thank you for being here. I hope I understand. I might come off as a bit harsh for people, but I usually answer everything. I try and at least explain why I come to certain conclusions. I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but I'm at least explaining where my head is. And so, like with Cindric today, I have him projected to finish in the top 10, but him with around anywhere from 34 to 39 points, I don't think that gets it done. He needs a bit more than that, because he's what, 7.7? Yeah, he's 7,700. So, you need him to lead laps and stuff. And so usually if they don't hit value for me, just in my projections, I don't even think about them for the rest of the weekend. And he's, we really need a ceiling day from Cindric to be there. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. That is true. I hope I hope you only get a Trojan virus from those, and they come up with pretty good views. One thing I get mad about is that every year, I know it gets worse and worse, but like NFL Byte, more ads, more porn ads. I got to go through to get my stupid preseason football. Crack streams, all these other sites, just more porn ads to get my MMA fights. Now it's my commercial-free NASCAR streams. Still got to go through Cut Empire ads and pornography ads, and very unfortunate there. But that's just how it is. Ricky Stenhouse, man. Ricky Stenhouse. So this is another thing of why Michigan is not an outlier to an extent, but why I try and be more aggressive based on what these cars show off the trailer, because it's hard to fake speed. And yes, Stenhouse showed, 6 fastest Dover, 15 fastest Darlington, 12 fastest Kansas, 12 fastest Charlotte. However, when we got to more intense races, Nashville, 24th fastest, Pocono, which, while it's not a racetrack I would take data from, you can see speed at Pocono, specifically straightaway speed and how these cars act aerodynamically. 18th fastest at Pocono for Stenhouse. I think on a ceiling day, his car is around a 16th to 20th place car. He's $6,700 is quite difficult to pay off for that, especially if you see him just gaining like 7, 8 positions. Give him 10. That's shit. That was, oh yeah, that's the PA line accident. Like 34 points, yes, that gives him value. But what are you giving up going to Stenhouse? Um, you know, I don't, I don't have a real take on Stenhouse. I don't have him, but that's where I'm at there. And I think I answered these. I think if depending on what lineup you do, and you're not getting to Gillen, you're not getting to other people, I think Keselowski then makes sense in those types of lines because you need the place differential from that. So where's Haley at? My boy starting 21st. I'm giving Haley. I don't see it, man. I don't see value from Haley today. 12th best at Dover, 18th best at Darlington. Kansas, he got in a wreck, finished 34th, or had a 34th best car. Charlotte, 28th. Nashville, 27th. Pocono, 27th. Him starting 21st, we're seeing that Haley, put around 24th place speed in just the scoring pylon. When we look at him in terms of everybody else, he's probably around 25th fastest. When we look at his laps specifically, I don't see value from Haley today. Thank you very much. As a new donator, new supporter, thank you very much. PMJR66. I hope that's not cringy whenever I just like count out the letters, but I don't want to attempt to pronounce that. But thank you very much for the support, for the $9 donation, for the super chat, whatever you guys want to call it. I look at it as a support and a donation to me. But either way, when we look at Jones, man, it is very, very unfortunate that Jones qualified so well. I highlighted him in the video on Patreon, but real quick, I think he's a guy who loses some positions just based on his speed that he's had, based on his struggles this year. I don't think we realize how close Jones has been to busting multiple times. Let's really dive into Eric Jones real quick. So Jones, and this is, look, I know this specifically because I played him a lot. Okay, Dover, 13th best car there. Finish. I gotta move this over a little bit. Let's get Indy off the screen. Dover. Where are we at? Dover, 13th best car, finishes 10th, starts 10th today. Not a lot of upside in that situation. Darlington, 11th best, ends up finishing, where are we at? 25th, gets involved in a wreck. Okay, unfortunate there. Charlotte, 13th best, finishes 14th. Yet again, a situation where if he could replicate that speed, he's starting 10th today. There's no upside there. However, when we get to Nashville, 17th race rate. Now, it's dictated a lot because I think he was stuck a lap down, and he was the slowest car on the lead lap for most of the race. And he just didn't have that. We'd see it multiple times where he'd come out on the pit stops and lose positions on the green runs at Nashville. Finishes 11th, but we all know what happens at Nashville when everybody pits there. I'm concerned that we run into a situation similar to Nashville, to where, yes, he's starting better than he did at Nashville. But this might be a situation where Jones starts 10th, ends up having really right around a 14th to 17th place car today. And we're not seeing at any point that he has the speed that is going to pick up a lot of positions here. Now, granted, 8th best car at Pocono, but he starts 10th today, 10th to 8th, not a lot of upside there. He needs more points to pay off. And so that's my opinion on Jones. I'm just not getting to him this weekend based on pricing and based on lineup construction. Not playing Briscoe. And as I said, Keselowski is not a priority. However, if you build certain builds and you don't have a play in the 5K range, I think those types of lines would then make sense to get to Keselowski, because you do need some type of safety net at the bottom in case we do get crashes, in case we do get guys run into issues. We need somebody to capitalize on that in your lines. But Keselowski would probably be like a secondary priority for me, and I probably, I'm thinking if I did 20 lines, I might have him like 4 lineups. No Briscoe today. That's where I'm at there. And yes, Keselowski does only need a top 20. However, let's kind of do the same thing that we've talked about with other guys. Starts 33rd. Dover, where are we at? Dover, 18th best car. Okay. Darlington gets involved in rank 35th. Kansas, 15th best. Charlotte, 34th. Nashville, 20th. Pocono, 21st. I think that's a situation where, Keselowski ends up probably running 20th, 22nd today. That's kind of what I try and anticipate for. I might be a bit aggressive, but even when I give him, like 28 points, that's rough. I don't know if I can get to Keselowski, and especially based on builds. Like if you're going to Keselowski, that's why I'm saying if you're not in the 5K range, then it makes sense to get to Keselowski. However, if you're chasing the place differential of Byron, Bowman, Chastain, or lap leaders Kyle Busch, Hamlin, or other guys in that range, Harvick, Chase, if you're chasing those guys, you can't get to Keselowski. You just don't have the money to get to him based on line construction, and so that's why I keep on answering. Things like that. There's no fucking way in God's green earth I'd put money on Burton in the top 10. Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you for being here. Mo, thank you for being here. A lot of positive feedback today. I do appreciate that. I really appreciate that, guys. And DK, I completely understand. That's why I say all the time. I don't say I'm saying it like it's my catchphrase. I have it in my bio. Look, I dislike NASCAR, but I cover it with a passion. I think I cover things extremely well, but NASCAR in general frustrates me. Not just the racing, but how everything is ran. Like the charters ruin the sport. It'll never be what it is because of the charters again. It just not there. This is F1, NASCAR F1. This is what it is. That's just what it is. There's a reason that, like last week, we had Loris in the car, slow as molasses. We had the other man, the 26. Don't remember his name off the top of my head just because he's not viable in anything. But these guys, like other teams, are so slow. You can't gain any speed. You can't gain anything if you don't have money, if you're not already part of a big team. And it's really a Ponzi scheme. NASCAR is a Ponzi scheme. We all understand that. The reason the charters are there is because a lot of these team guys are like, wow, this is really stupid. We really do lose our ass over fist in this. We don't make money over fist. We lose our ass in racing. Hey, let's try and Michael Waltrip's like, hey, let's try and get these charters here so I can leave with some money and start my brewing company and stuff. And so, shout out to the Xfinity Series. Xfinity Series is the true NASCAR series now. That's just where it is. I'm sorry. Go on a rant. Anyway, sum it up real fast. Viable guys, viable people that I think you should go to. You choose what you want to do with Wallace Bell, but I think you should prioritize Kyle Busch. I think you should prioritize Hamlin. I would then go to Truex to try and get a low on Truex. I like Kevin Harvick. I would be hesitant. I'm not saying don't play him. I'm just saying these guys aren't locks. They are very risky plays that I don't think people are really looking at in that sense, but that is Byron and Bowman. I think they are incredibly risky today, and they can tank a line by just finishing subpar 17th, 16th. I think Chastain gives up too much chasing after him. If he gets the lead and he wins the race, it's a fantastic play, but I think Joe Gibbs guys just kill it on on the race, kill it on pit road, and then maintain a top 10 running position there. And those are really my main opinions, takes, stances this week on this race. I appreciate 100 of you guys here, 54 minutes in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for engaging quite a lot today. Thank you for the quite a bit of support. Thank you for the likes, and thank you for supporting me if you're on the Patreon. Thank you for supporting Pearce if you're on the Patreon as well. Thank you guys very much for just being here, and I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good day. And if this race gets rained out, if it doesn't get rained out, who cares? Who honestly cares? Do you guys care about this race at all? It's going to be boring. Everybody's like, all the normies, all the plebs are like, man, this is going to race just like Auto Club. I'm looking forward to Michigan. This is going to be side-by-side race. No, it's not, dude. The leader's pulling away. There is no passing here. Keep that in mind, okay? It's going to be a pretty boring race. So I'll see you guys later, and see you guys when I do the preview videos and stuff. So I'll see you guys then.